Good evening, Buffs Nation. What is going on? I hope you are having a wonderful midweek, that everything with work, your family, friends, all that's going well. Happy to be back, and I'm excited to finally be doing this video. Trevor Brandt's checking in. I appreciate you. Love Las Vegas. Love having fun there. Hopefully, the Big 12 decides to do some tournaments and stuff out there to give me another reason to get out there, right? So, very excited for this video. We've gone back and forth. A lot of what I've been asked on this channel is how many games is the team going to win this year? What are expectations? All that. And next week, I just kind of realized this. Matt, good to see you. That next week I'm actually going to be out of town on a vacation, seeing some family, which will be great. But I am not expecting to post next week, and I wanted to get to this before the week of TCU because I'm going to spend a lot of time breaking down TCU, talking about what you're going to see a little bit more film analysis from me. This is stuff that I've been working on in behind the scenes and all of that. Learning a little bit more of the X's and O's. I have a ton of all 22 college film now to go through, thankfully, and thanks to a lot of the people that I've met through this YouTube world. So I'm going to be bringing y'all a lot of cool stuff throughout the year. Jonas, thank you for checking in as well. And I wanted to get to this before I left this weekend, this Sunday, for that. And that is the record prediction. How many games do I think CU is going to win this year? Now, before I get into this and break this down, as y'all are checking in, hit that like. Let me know in the comments who's listening. That's going to help spread this out to other Buffs fans, college football fans, all of that. And this is something that I hope people see, whether it's for better or for worse. But there's some things that I want to preface, that I want to get out of the way before we break down this schedule game by game, right? And as always, I want to hear your thoughts. But the first thing, no matter what, people are going to try and rain on our parade, no matter what the record is. Nah, this is one of these years, these special years, where nothing is going to take away from this season. It is going to be a success, pretty much with any result, 99% of the results that we get. Because even if we win one game, so to speak, which I don't think will happen, this year is already so much more of a success than what we had last year. I mean, you look at the recruits, you look at the players, you look at the hype, you look at the exposure, the growth of the CU brand. Heck, you even saw today $28 million raised in the last year for CU athletics. You got to imagine that number is going to get well over 30 million this next year. Rick George, you've done an incredible job, especially with with very hard conditions. And credit to Rick George on getting this program to shift priorities and really recommit to football again. Man, everybody's in here. Again, I appreciate it. Hit that like on the way in. It's your way of saying hello, checking in. So I want to get that out of the way really quick. Expectations, anything over one win, I'm elated. Heck, even without any of the wins, that I've been saying that Coach Prime already deserves a raise and a contract extension, right? Now, if you've been following this channel as well, you've seen I put some fun bets out on the Buffs to win over that line of 3.5 games. Again, in January, this team, with the roster that it had, with only a handful of transfers coming in, with a small recruiting class coming in, it was predicted to win 3.5 games. Then it went up to 4.5 at some point, or the line went up to 4.5 games at some point in the spring. Now, what I don't get, and usually I feel like Vegas odd makers know what's going on, but after the mass exodus of all these players that ended up transferring to the FCS and G5 level and other Pac-12 schools, they dropped down the win total to 3.5 wins, and that's where it's been since the spring game. It's been at 3.5 wins with all the talent we've brought in. Of course, I am not giving official betting advice. Got to cover myself legally, right? But man, does it, it does feel good to bet the over on that line right now, doesn't it, Buffs fans? So I'm very excited for this year. I won some money off of the UFC fights and in that boxing match that was going on Saturday. I decided, you know what, I'll put some of the profits that I earned from that on the Buffs to take on TCU. $65 pays like 504. We'll see how that goes. I am going to have a betting partner. This is hilarious. I am going to have a betting partner for this season. You guys don't have to worry about me spamming bet promo codes in every single video, but I am going to do some sort of daily fantasy or betting video every week. So that'll be fun. But let's get back to the point. This is the schedule prediction. So with all that being said, I still feel like the country overall is not paying attention to, the quality of players that we brought in here. A guy like Alton McCaskill that could very well go to the NFL this next year. And you guys know, I mean, we got some guys like Javon Antonio coming up from the FCS level, just a total dog, right? The defensive line, it's got a lot of talent coming in, but a lot of these guys haven't had their opportunity to truly showcase their abilities yet, and they get that platform now. So without further ado, let's go ahead and run through this schedule. And I'm going to give you my official prediction on the year, and we'll see what y'all think. Okay? All right. So we open up against TCU here in a little less than 3 weeks. This is going to be in Fort Worth, but I have a feeling there's going to be quite a handful of Coach Prime and CU Buffs fans there in Fort Worth. And maybe it might even feel like a home game for the Buffs. I mean, we'll just have to see, right? I mean, where Coach Prime was living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I mean, what this stadium right there downtown Fort Worth is, or near downtown Fort Worth is, what, a 30-minute drive, 45-minute drive from where Coach Prime was living at, kind of before all this college stuff, right? And TCU's lost a lot of their players. I know some people are high on Chandler Morris, but again, could not keep the job last year who eventually became a Heisman finalist, Max Duggan. We'll have to see how he performs this year, but I believe they lost about half of their starting lineup or overall roster to graduation in the NFL. Y'all correct me on that if I'm wrong, or maybe it was like 40%. But that's a lot of turnover to deal with, and I think there is an ability for CU to surprise. And that's why I'm going to go with TCU. I think we get the win. That's probably my biggest maybe upset that I have on the schedule, where I think CU can really come in and surprise people. Again, I think when looking at football, this is a simplified version of it, but usually when you have the better quarterback, you have a better chance to win than the other team. And I think in this case, everybody's going to be healthy. And I think Shedeur Sanders is a heck of a lot better than Chandler Morris is. So I'm going to go with the Buffs. I'm going to go with the Buffs to start out 1-0 against TCU on the year. Now, if I'm picking TCU, or if I'm picking CU to take care of business against TCU, sure as heck, I'm predicting the Buffs to get the win here in week 2 in Boulder for Coach Prime's first home game against our arch nemesis, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I cannot wait for this. Now, regardless of how the rest of the season goes, if we win 2 games, we win 1 game, but one of those wins is Nebraska. Man, I love it. To me, it kind of feels like like with Ohio State, it's great that they go to the college football playoff and all that pretty much every year as Buckeyes fans and all that. But Even if you win double-digit games, if you lose to Michigan, the year's a failure, right? That's kind of how I feel in years that we play Nebraska. This is like a championship game for us. I'm so excited for many of you fans just tuning in to the team this year to experience this rivalry with having an emotional investment in it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think you all are going to really enjoy it. And we're going to see Ralphie Six get out there, bust her butt, and it's going to be an incredible environment where the Buffs get the win, right? So we start out 2-0. Then week 3, we have not the Rumble of the Rockies, we have the Rocky Mountain Showdown, rather. And that's against our in-state rival CSU. Again, they're building something over there pretty interesting with Jay Norvell there coming over there a couple years ago from Nevada. They had one of the best recruiting classes this past year in the Mountain West Conference. However, I mean, they were pretty much just as sorry as CU was last year. I think they had 2 wins, and there's still a lot of work and turnover that Coach Norvell has to deal with. So I'm going to go with a 3-0 start for the Buffs in non-conference. Then we open up a brutal conference play, and this is where things get interesting. There are scenarios in which I could see in which we could surprise and beat a school like Oregon in Oregon, or where we could get our first win against USC here at home the following week in week 5. But right now, those teams, they're they're ranked teams. They've recruited, like top 10 in the country. They're established now. Yeah, like they have returning coaching staffs and all of that. I think the odds are right now that we lose those games. Now, that's not to say that there's not situations in which we can win these games. But if I'm betting money on it, I don't think that's happening right now. Maybe that's a little bit more than what we can, biting off a little bit more than what we can chew, so to speak. But I expect these games to still be competitive. And that's a big deal compared to getting blown out by 35 against these teams, 40 against these teams in the last couple of years, right? And guys, I'm going to get to your comments after I run through the whole schedule, okay? If and hopefully I see your comment, but if I don't and you want to ensure that it gets seen, send me a couple bucks on the super chat or whatever the minimum is, and I'll make sure that I respond to it. But I think I'll be able to get through most of them. Okay, then our 6th game of the season at 3-2, we take on Arizona State. This is a team going through a coaching change as well. Going to have a new quarterback. They might be starting a bridge quarterback and then transitioning over to Jalen Rashada. So either way, the quarterback position isn't going to be super strong, I think, for Arizona State this year. Again, I'm a big fan of what Kenny Dillingham is doing at Arizona State, but it's not going to be something that is done overnight. So for that reason, I'm going with the Buffs, getting the win in Sun Devil Stadium and returning to or getting another win in the win column, going to 4-2. Then we got Stanford. They're probably the most sorry team right now in the Pac-12. You got to imagine the talent that they have on the team going into this year might already be looking to leave, just because we don't know their conference situation next year. We'll see how that plays out. I think, although I do like Coach Taylor, I believe that's his name. I think he was pretty successful at San Francisco State. Yeah, he's got his work cut out for him, especially this year. Buffs get the win there, 5-2. Next, UCLA. This is in Pasadena, as I thought it was. Again, this is going to be another transition year for Chip Kelly. They're losing some of their best players this year. Now, they did bring in, I think, a couple transfers that are noteworthy, but overall, they're going to be starting over from the quarterback position. It's very likely at this point in the season that they have that true freshman. Man, what is his name? What is his name? Why am I forgetting it now? I mean, big time recruit, 5-star quarterback, but nonetheless is going to be a true freshman starting out there. I think the Buffs can get the win there as well. So that puts us at 6-2. Moving into the month of November, the last 4 games of the year, we have a game. This is going to be at Folsom against a very tough team in Oregon State. This is the one game, home game outside of USC that I feel pretty nervous about. Oregon State is a darn good team. I think they got an upgrade in quarterback this year. They have a very stout defense. They're very well coached, and they've always given us trouble in Boulder, just traditionally throughout our time in the Pac-12. They've had some pretty serious comebacks against us in Boulder as well. I would love to think that the home field advantage is going to take, or it's going to kind of take a toll on the Beavers coming in here. But right now, I got this one chalked up as a home loss to CU. So it's going to be on the Buffs to make sure that they prove me wrong with this. Bookmark this. Make sure I eat my crow if we lose or if we win this home game, right? I'll be ecstatic. But the Buffs are the Beavs. They're a great team, and I see them on the uptrend this year, building on a double-digit win season from last year as well. One of the strongest teams in the Pac-12 that isn't talked about really barely at all. All right, so 6-3, I believe, is where we're at. Arizona, I think that this is another game that we can win. Again, they do have, some returning players. Whether that's at quarterback, they got Montana Lamonius Craig there as well. They got a defense that's growing, but I do think that Shedeur Sanders is going to put the team over the top here, and so we get the win for. Oh, I thought it was for Senior Day rather. Our last home game of the year. So that puts us at 7-3. Then we have Washington State. This is a team that's kind of been, they've really suffered from the transfer portal this year, as Buffs fans have. We've experienced that in many years past. And I think by this time of the year, this team's going to be operating on all cylinders. I think that this is a win that we get on the road, going to 8-3. Lastly, we're going to be competing against Utah, the back-to-back Pac-12 champions. Right now, I see them as the favorite to win the conference again. I know that USC is probably the most popular pick right now just because of the star power that they have. But I do trust Utah's team right now, especially with Cam Rising still there. And this is a program that under Kyle Whittingham, they play smash mouth Big 12 style football. They play defense. They have great lines on both the offense and defense. And this would be different if they didn't have a veteran quarterback returning that led them to back-to-back conference titles the last couple of years. I would love to see the Buffs get the win in Utah. We haven't really had much success there, but I view them as right now as the strongest team in the conference in a season in which there are a lot of strong teams. Right now, I'm not going to bet against Utah. And so I think we do finish the season at 8-4. And I didn't really think, a few months ago, I didn't really think. I was like, probably anywhere between 5 and 7 wins. That's kind of where I've been putting myself as I've gone through this schedule over the last, at least daily for the last however many months, right? But I think maybe I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid. Maybe this is part of being a fan, and I always get myself hyped up at this point of the year. But I've kind of thought around the 7-win mark, and if I'm going to go with a prediction, I might as well go a little bit bold, right? And not, in my opinion, underestimate Coach Prime compared to the expectations of many people throughout the country, media and fans of other teams that expect a lot worse for this football team coming up. But I mean, ultimately, there are a lot of wins that I see on this schedule. You know, we're talking about teams in which CU should take care of business against. That's going to be Nebraska, Colorado State, Arizona State, Stanford, Arizona, Washington State. Those are teams in which I feel like they should take care of business with. That's six. That's six teams right there. And then on top of that, let's get a few more. Let's get a couple. Let's get a few more, right? I think that that's realistic again against sorry, lost my train of thought. Unless, injuries happen or whatever, but you never make predictions thinking about injuries, right? But overall, I think Shedeur Sanders is a top, at the very worst, he's a top half quarterback in this conference in a loaded quarterback room right now for the Pac-12. I think that, there's scenarios in which I see him putting up, top 4, top 3 numbers at the quarterback position this year. So we'll have to see about that. Again, I think he could get somewhere between 4,000 yards, 3,800, 4,000 yards and throw over 30 touchdowns. Again, that would blow away right now our single season school passing records that we have. I think his floor is breaking those passing records at 3,200 yards on the dot and 28 passing touchdowns. So that is my prediction right now. Is his 8 wins. We go to a bowl game and then we get that bowl win, right? So I guess we would say 9-4, right? We got to get the bowl win. That way, all the people criticizing Coach Prime about the Celebration Bowl losses, they can shut up about that. And we go into 2024 with even more hype than what we've had. We got recruits that are flipping from other schools to come here because they've seen the results, right? And again, this is just the base. This is just the beginning. I think Shedeur comes back for his senior year and could be a Heisman finalist, right? I mean, this is just the base. You're only going to add more parts next year. The whole coaching staff, the majority of the team. I mean, we only have, I think, about 10 guys that, that will either graduate or maybe go to the NFL early, right? Total. So continuity on this team is really going to stick into the 2024 season, going into the Big 12. But that's my prediction right now. And if you're coming to this channel throughout the season, just know that if things don't go as planned, or I'm always going to have a positive spin. I'm going to love covering this team because this is a season for all of us to enjoy. Again, going into or looking back at this point last year. It was just miserable. And I think whether we reach this or not, that's not really the biggest deal to me. I'm going to enjoy being part of a fan base of a relevant football team again, a competitive football team. Even if we don't win 8 games or if we don't get to the conference title game or whatever, we're going to be competitive against so many of these teams that we haven't been able to be competitive against. And I'm just looking forward to watching well-coached quality football, seeing points get put up on the board, right? Seeing all the guys that we've been watching throughout the off-season videos have moments of success, see people improve, see those unsung heroes really establish themselves and have their moments throughout the year. I'm just pumped for it. It's going to be a great year. So you can bookmark David Talks Buffs for an official record prediction of 8-4 with losses coming to Oregon, USC, Utah, and those Oregon State pesky Beavers, those Beavs. They are tough. And I want to say, if we're not in the conference final game, the team that I'm going to be rooting for to win the Pac-12 this year is going to be the Beavs. Regardless of some of their mean fans on Twitter They want to throw shade at Colorado. I do think overall they're a pretty great fan base, and it would just be so ironic and so awesome for them to win the conference before it, completely explodes, and then, them to go down to the Mountain West or the AAC, wherever, they really end up, as sad as that is. But that would be pretty cool to see. And this is a year in which the Pac-12, it's traditionally not had much success since they expanded to 12 in 2011 or whatever it was. And there are a lot of reasons for why this conference is dying, why it's going to be no more. But I'm glad that it's finishing on probably its highest note in terms of the talent and how many quality teams there are in the conference. The quarterback play is at an all-time high for the 13 years or whatever of the Pac-12, and that's going to be great to see. So 8-4, I think we're going to go undefeated in conference play. And probably my biggest upset prediction is TCU or UCLA. But I guess TCU would be the biggest one because they're in the national championship last year, even with all the turnover that they've had. So thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to get to your thoughts now. Oh, yeah. First off, I want to say hi to everybody. GC, thank you for tuning in. Let's see. We got Zulus. We got T. Thompson in here. Trevor Branch coming in here with the same record prediction that I am. Again, Coach Prime's never failed in anything in his life. Again, it's just hard for me to see even this team winning, you know, winning four, just 4 games or whatever. That's hard for me to believe. Something drastically is going to have to go wrong with this team if they don't hit the over on those win totals. T. Thompson coming in here too, 8-4. Love it. Zulus. In my opinion, it all depends on TCU. We win that game, the sky's the limit. Absolutely, we're only going to build on that. And yeah, if even if we don't win, if we stay within reach, man, that's going to set a great foundation for moving forward into the rest of the year. I love it. Miss Pleasantly Plump, good to see you. I always got to say, I love that. I love that screen name. It's awesome. OGC bet on the TCU game too. Prepared to lose my voice at the game. I love to hear that. Holy moly, that is exciting. Hopefully you get to run into Colin from Life and Football, right? Gearhead, David, what site you make your bets on? I want some of those odds action. So right now, at least if you've seen what I posted on Twitter, it's from DraftKings. So I'm not sure what state they're in, but I do have another partner that I guess they're more focused on daily fantasy, but they do have a betting aspect for it depending on what state you're in. Not going to announce that quite yet, but most likely you don't have them downloaded. But if you're looking to place a bet right now, I just like DraftKings because dnvr has a promo code for them. So check it out. And I just like the user interface of it. It's just really easy to use. But I think like FanDuel and whatever, they got more player props and stuff like that going. I don't think DraftKings does as much of that. But I usually just bet lines. I'm not really into betting props. I don't really do that very often. Win. Let's go, Mac. Can't wait to see what you predict. Every break he has, he returns to Texas. Oh, you're talking about Coach Prime with recruiting? Man, I love that. Exactly, Jonas. You bring up a great point here. Their top skill guys all went to the league on offense. Yeah, quarterback, running back, 3 wide receivers, some guys on the defense as well. We're talking about TCU. You're absolutely right. Todd's going with 6 games. I love that. That gets us to a bowl game. And we haven't won 6 games since 2016, I believe. The most games we've ever won since that year was 5. We've had a handful of 5-win seasons. Well, I guess with COVID, we technically went 4-4, 4-3, but it's the COVID. No one really counts that because it was like a short season. Zulus thinks we win the TCU game. Chandler Choke Morris. We'll have to see that again. CU being one of the worst rosters in football last year with Chandler Morris starting or whatever. I think he was starting the first half of that TCU game. I forget it because it was such a late kickoff with the thunderstorms out here. I don't think we kicked off until like 11 p.m. So I was like half awake for honestly the first half of that game. And, a little bit after the third or whatever, I didn't watch the full game because it became a blowout. Let's see. Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, don't be stingy with the likes. Yeah. Let me know what's up. 3-0 against the Oregon game. Yeah, we're going to have to see how this goes. Green Creole, first home game under Coach Prime. We'll have so much excitement. Definitely a W. I cannot wait. And that's another game because I don't have a ticket right now to the Nebraska game. So I'm thinking of maybe just doing a live watch party here. We'll see how that goes. Again, I'm thinking about doing that for the TCU game as well. We'll just have to see. But y'all let me know if that'd be something that you'd be interested in. Being part of like a live watch along. If not, I'll just come on right after the game ends, That's the advantage, at least, of being home, is that I can just hop on here real quick and do a post game. John Birch, good to see you. Let's go, Buffs Nation. Real Big Pip, good to see you. Thank you for tuning in, as always. J. Dot has something to say about Oregon. The reason I think they beat Oregon is their coach has been talking a lot of shit. And I think the team shuts him up. Man, I love that. Yeah. It's obvious that Dan Lanning was that unnamed Pac-12 coach throwing shade at this team. And I think it's because he was pissed that Coach Prime got a contract bigger than he did coming up here. I think that's what it was. The dude's just jealous. Of course, 2 weeks ago he got his raise and extension. But I've loved that he's been talking. The more ammo, the more weight we can add to the chip on the shoulder, right? That's what this team needs. I love rivalry. I love when people talk in media, on both sides. And now it's going to be time to really put up or shut up, and hopefully we can shut them up, right? Okay. I just love all the optimism before the season starts. Hey, anything can happen. Enjoy it before the season starts. It's going to be a long, like a Pagosa Springs winter, man. I'll tell you what. Like I said, man, like if you went through being a Buffs fan last year, I mean, there's nothing worse than last year. There's nothing worse. We at least, even if we're not winning a ton of games this year, we at least have guys in this roster with NFL potential. And I mean, we didn't have anybody on the team last year. We didn't have one guy drafted this past year. One of our best players on that defense last year just got signed by the New England Patriots, and who even knows if he'll even stick on that practice squad, right? So, enjoy it before the season starts. It's going to be long. Like, I think that's a bunch of bullshit, man. Like, you don't understand what we've been through. J. Dot, Bo Nix running Shiloh since his Auburn days. Man, I love that highlight. It's this season's just gonna be fun to watch, man. And if you are expecting me to come on here and get on here after a loss or whatever, like to be freaking out or saying the world is over and all that, no, I am not a Texas Longhorns fan. I am not like that. I'm not Nagy's fan. Absolutely not. Should I say it? Yeah, I'll say it. I'm not a Florida State fan. So you're not going to get that from me because we're not a college football blue blood. I'm going to come on here after every week. I'm going to be able to talk about the great things that happened in the game, some of the things that went wrong, and and then move on. But you're always going to get a positive spin here. with me because I enjoy doing this. I enjoy talking with y'all. And, at the end of the day, I am just thrilled to be having a team to watch that is relevant and that's going to be interesting, no matter what's going on. So I'm not going to lose who I am. I'm just naturally an optimistic person. Green Creole, I agree, but I want to see Oregon and USC, et cetera, play exactly. And I think there are a lot of people. I've said this before that are predicting like, hey, we could run the Pac-12, we could do all that. This is still a tough conference, and I think that I'm not like trying to throw shade to anybody, but um, if you're just hopping in over this past year, you had no reason to watch the Pac-12, right? Like nobody did. Like you're not staying up till 12 Eastern, watching the Pac-12, right? There are a handful of quality teams in this conference right now, and I think some of the level of play will surprise some of y'all from some of these teams. So we'll see how that goes. Keck, 4 wins as an Arizona State fan. Thank you. I would be thrilled. That means I hit all my bets. That means we have a 3-win improvement from last year. And that's money in the bank, man. like, I'm still going to be calling for Coach Prime to get a raise and build the statue out here, man, because Coach Prime's doing what he's doing right now on the recruiting front with no wins at CU, taking over a team in which he had to bring in, 70, 80 players. Imagine what he's going to do with 4 wins. Man, I'm pumped about that. Give me 4 wins all day. I'll cash that check right now. Todd, who's the backup quarterback? It's either going to be Ryan Staub or Gavin Colt. So Gavin Colt's a JUCO transfer coming in here, 6'5", big arm. Hasn't gotten a ton of time at the JUCO ranks, but now he's working with a real quarterback coach in Sean Lewis. And Ryan Staub's coming in here as a true freshman. And coming over here from California, we also have Case and Wiseman, but I don't think he's kind of right now slated to kind of be within that number 2 race right now. To me, it seems like it's between Staub and Gavin Colt. But Staub's a guy. He's a little bit shorter, but he throws a lot of these these passes really well. He can throw these. The ball gets out of his hand very quickly. He can throw these screens, the slants, the seams, kind of all that. That's going to be really important in this offense. And very heady guy. He earlier this year, I think it was Sean Lewis. He was saying how sometimes, Staub's right there in some of the brain game exercises, right there with Shador. And we know how fast of a processor and how intelligent of quarterback Shador is. Carl W., we may lose some games, but they'll know we were there. And absolutely. And you know what? They're going to feel it. If these teams get wins against us, they're going to know that they earned it because this team isn't going to quit. They're going to play fast. They're going to be physical. They're going to be disciplined. And if you get a win in here, you're going to feel good about it. Not like it was handed to you like it was over the last handful of years. Y'all hit that like button. Absolutely. Hey, I'm a big fan of Kenny Dillingham. Again, I've said many times on my channel that I think that he's the coach that Arizona State needs, and hopefully he's able to galvanize the extremely large alumni base that y'all have to really get Arizona State to where they should be at competing on the athletic fronts. Yes. Dante, man, what? Yeah, the UCLA quarterback. I forget his last name. Why can't I remember it? Keck says Buffs beat CSU, Stanford, Arizona in a surprise win somewhere, but not ASU. Hey, man, we're going to have to see about that. I think Washington State, they had a losing record within the conference last year. Their roster was just completely thrashed by the portal. I think that they're one of the easier games to take care of this year, even on the road. But honestly, I mean, I think Matt Rule is a good coach. I think the Nebraska game's probably going to be a little bit more competitive than some would expect. I know Nebraska's favored right now, but I think we have a better team than Nebraska. I think we have a deeper team than Nebraska. So we're going to have to see. I mean, they won 3 games last year and they lost to Northwestern. We beat Cal. And they got a quarterback who is going to be able to run quite a bit. But if they fall down and they have to rely on Sims's arm, I just they better get out in front early. ASU and WSU are road games. I think you do better against Washington State than ASU, but yeah, but ASU doesn't really have a much of a home. Like that's the thing about the Pac-12, man. It's just there's not really any super great home environments outside of maybe just a few schools. But again, as an ASU fan, I'm sure you'll disagree. But I'm not really worried at all about playing that game on the road in like late October. Hey man, hey, this is my prediction. This is my show. If you want to come on and start your own channel and get talking about CU, man, I would love that. But hey, this is my prediction for better or for worse. And again, you come to this channel because I'm going to give you my unfiltered opinion, and this is what it is. This is what it is. So even if it upsets you, we're just gonna enjoy this, man. And if we don't get close to this at all, I'll be up here talking about that as well. But at the end of the day, this is just a prediction, not a measuring stick on what I believe is a successful season for the Buffs. I want to make sure that that's clear. Okay, a successful year for the Buffs. It's kind of two-tiered. It's really as simple as winning more games than we won last year. Which I think is an easy bar. I'm going to be thrilled. Okay. Now that might seem pathetic to some of y'all, but that has been our life here at CU. That's been our life here in Colorado. Now, kind of that next tier is I want to get to a bowl game. I want to get to a bowl game and win a bowl game. So that's 6 wins. And I think we can do that. Yeah, many critics want the bus to fail miserably because that's going to be fun to talk about, right? People want to have content. People want to have tweets that are trending, right? And you know what? You know what trends? The Buffs, no matter what. I mean, you see Pat McAfee talking about a scrum that the Buffs had yesterday in practice for 5 minutes, right? I mean, this is just hilarious stuff. And I mean, yeah, it's what's going to make the season so fun is that there's going to be people talking about us when we have failures, and then there's going to be people talking about us when we have successes. And again, y'all underestimate if you're not a fan of this school, y'all underestimate just how exciting it is just to be part of relevant football talk again. Like this is where we're at now. So, yeah. Now I'm gonna say like I'm gonna have considerably higher expectations going into next year, even in the Big 12. We should compete, and we should be within the. We should be one of the contenders in that conference. That is my hope with the recruiting class and transfer class that we can bring in 24, building off of this season. But right now, my prediction, it's 8 wins, but my expectations, they're different, if that makes sense. Like on what is successful, what's a successful season. It's not necessarily tied directly to my prediction. Exactly. We're going to see some darn good, well-coached football. It's going to be an entertaining product. I love that Coach Prime, he understands, like, he has a very particular way in how he wants his offenses to play as well as his defenses. defenses. Not only are they, defenses that get stops and are productive, and offenses that put up points, but they do it in a way that's entertaining, and that's why I love it. T. Thompson brings up a great point. Yeah, like CU will win a game against Oregon, USC, or Utah. Not sure which one. Yeah, I've thought about that for quite a while, and I would think that if there's one that we take care of, most likely there's probably a game that we let get away that we shouldn't have. So maybe we can sub out one of those gimmies I had for us for one of these upsets. We'll see. But I'll tell you, the Nebraska game means the most to me, and then after that, it's going to be USC. I mean, I would never be more excited to just be shouting 1 in 16, 1 in 16, baby. And maybe again, they did bring in some interesting D line and edge talent in the transfer portal this year, but we'll have to see if that defense can actually keep up this year. Because when you have Tulane carving you up, you don't think this offense is going to carve you up? Keg, I'll try and do a watch along. I think that would be great. Hopefully, I can just run my mouth long enough for it to be entertaining. That's that's what I'm trying to think about. Is that I'm not necessarily sure how I would talk throughout the whole game while watching it. We'll just have to see, because I'm not just going to get on here doing like a commentary, like a play by play. That sounds miserable. I don't even want to do that, but hopefully I can keep the comments and the engagement fun as we watch. I can kind of give you my instant reaction to things, like, come on, didn't you do that? Or celebrating all that. I think it would be pretty fun. Green Creole, I'm glad you like that. So um, as funny as this might seem to y'all, and maybe you guys feel the same way, it's like I like going to the football games. I'll go to as many games as I can get tickets for, but there is something that I enjoy just watching the game on TV. I'm usually able to track better what's going on, because in the crowd you're doing all the chants, you're drinking the beer, you're making all the noise, you're ringing the cowbell, you're talking to people next to you, and then all of a sudden it's the second half, and you're like, what happened? So on games that I watch on the TV, probably more of those road games, I'll have a little bit better of an instant analysis or breakdown of what happened. But I just get easily distracted being around 50,000 people or whatever it is at Folsom. This whole thing about Oregon going to kill Colorado, uh, they killed us last year. Oh, like, what is killing to you? Because they were out for blood for us, last year, man. Like, I just think like all this Oregon hype is it's so overblown. They're a really good team. I don't think we win in Eugene, but to say it's going to be a blowout, like um, like we're some sorry team. No, you saw how that played out last year, Keck. You saw how that played out last year. It's not going to be the same result this year unless there's some sort of injury at quarterback. Um, yeah, again, I think Shador can be right there with Bo Nix. This is going to be Bo Nix' second year in the Pac-12. He knows these defenses. He knows that offense. It's going to really benefit him this year. But I just think like all this stuff is just laughable. What's this they talking about? The buff is is an experiment. I don't really know. Um, Dave, well, first off, let me hit on this. I'm an ASU fan. I understand what you've been through. That's good to know. I don't know what else to say to that, but I like sometimes I feel like you're just coming on here trying to rain on our parade. But all I'm trying to say is that like this year's going to be positive no matter what, and I think that's frustrating for other fans of schools to see that it's like we're in a no-lose situation here unless we just win one game. But 99% of the outcomes here, this guy's going to be happy. What's this talking about? Buff is an experiment? I have no idea what you're talking about. You got to explain more of that, Hosea. The buff is an experiment. I don't know what that means. Nessa Mose, good to see you. Thank you for checking in. I appreciate it. David, Alpine Garage mentioned Big 12 North versus South rather than East versus West. Thoughts? I don't like the North versus South because we wouldn't be playing in Texas as often. I hate that idea. You got to split Texas up. Because it's one thing dealing with the recruiting disadvantage of playing in Florida like once every couple of years, likely. If that's happening to in Texas, where we're only in there, once a year or something like that, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. So I do hope that I think likely we see we go with the pods. I think we go with the pods and 4-4 in the group of 16. I've seen the pods being like CU's in there with some of the other Midwestern schools like Kansas State, Iowa State, which I think kind of renews some old Big 12 rivalries and whatnot. But I would my ideal pod would be something along the lines of CU, give us TCU, Utah, and Kansas State. Now, I know geographically that doesn't make sense, but those or like BYU. You could switch out Utah for BYU. I don't care either way. Just have that Rocky Mountain thing going. But I hope we go pods. And I would say I don't think I'm the biggest fan overall of just switching out the conference in half like that, whether that's East versus West or North versus South. I don't think I like it. I think let's just have the two best teams with the schedules that they play at the end of the year. And that way, I think that would ensure, if we go the pod route with that, I think that would ensure that we get to play more teams throughout the conference more often, if that makes sense. Ricardo calling 8-4 for the Buffs as well. Man, I'd love to see that. What are the justifications for starting Cormani against his TCU? Well, he's 6'3", he's probably the most lengthy corner on the team. I don't think you'll see him slot up probably as that number 2 corner, but you're talking about starting. I mean, most offenses run 3-4 wide receivers as well. I mean, you're going to see he's one of the best 3-4 cornerbacks on the team right now. And you need to throw him into the fire. That's just my opinion. With a guy that talented, he's going to develop the best playing, right? Let's see. Being competitive this season will pay off in many ways next season. Yeah, because then people are going to be like, I understand what's going on. I get the vision. I want to be here, right? And the NIL will grow as well. And then it will be great because we can see all these other schools, when they lose recruits to us, they can do what I see on message board geniuses all the time, just talking about how, hey, see, you only got that guy because they paid him so much money. Which, man, I would love to be blamed for that, but we're just not there right now with our NIL program, but we're getting there. I love it when I see these schools like Ole Miss, Auburn, FSU, Georgia, whatever, Alabama. When a guy that they're interested in goes to another school, it's like, oh, they just went because of the money. It's like, oh, you couldn't have just liked the fit better, And is that necessarily a bad thing? I mean, I'm not going to hate. It's easy for you to turn down 6 figures when you're not actually getting offered 6 figures. But coming here, hopefully we can get an NIL program in which we can offer 6 figures to some of these players. And we know that we're really, truly putting them on a path to make it to the pros. That's what I would love to see. Yeah, Colorado, they got this style, man. They're gonna be smash mouth. They're gonna be fast paced. We're gonna see Michael Harrison ball out at tight end, right? Keck, you're not upset. You love every minute of it. you're welcome to jump on this bandwagon, man. I don't have any beef with Arizona State fans. So, like I said, I'm a fan of your coach, and I'm going to be rooting for y'all's success, just as long as we're not playing. Now you're contradicting yourself, man. Is because yeah, we got killed in every game last year. The only way you get killed is when you give up. Zeus, I put my money where my mouth is. I bet on CU straight up, no points. What was your bet? I want to know. But yeah, I've thrown some fun money at some of the Buffs bets this year, so that should be fun. National championship, we're coming. Too much speed. Y'all bookmark this because if it happens, DJ promo, I'm gonna let you on my show for an entire evening. You can do whatever you want because you got some stones. Be calling that. I hope we get there, man. I'd have to do something crazy if we won the national championship. Um, Probably something that might get me banned from YouTube or something. All right. Elston Newsom. Imagine how good Travis and Shador are going to be as juniors. Well, Shador is a junior right now. Um, so, but if you're talking about 2024, Shador senior year, Travis's junior year, Cormani McLean sophomore year, yeah, man, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, I'm going to fast forward. Yeah, authentic news uncut. I appreciate the shout out. Did you used to go by a different name? If so, I'm gonna have to check. I'm gonna have to go. Do I subscribe to you? I'll make sure I subscribe to you. Salute to David Talks Buffs. Keep dropping the great content. I appreciate that. Again, I am not a genius, nor do I. Nor am I going to be one of those media personalities that always has to seem like he's right. I mean, if you follow my channel for a long time, I've had a handful of videos where I've come out and said I have been wrong on this, or I'm changing my opinion now that I feel a little bit more informed. And that's what's been great about this channel is that we've been able to have discussions, like even with this like Brian Howell stuff, where I'm like, what is going on? Like I've never seen this guy um, create so much controversy as like this quiet journalist. And then like all y'all, whether it's on Twitter or on YouTube, y'all are helping um, point out to me like these are the things that he does or these are the things he says, and it's enlightening, and I'm like, wow, like that would be incredibly frustrating, as a to see some of the things that he's done since Coach Prime has come in. As a football coach that's had nothing but success and is a Hall of Famer, and you can't just approach him or talk about him with a certain level of respect, right? So it's like, I mean, I wasn't paying much attention to what was going on, I guess with this over the last 7-8 months or whatever. But that's what I love about this channel is that um, I come on here as just another person, and my opinions can change and grow and develop just like y'all's do as well. I'm not going to be like freaking Kendrick Perkins here or Mark Jackson with how they, dude, with how they flip flop on yoke. David coming in here 1-11. Who's the one lost to? I gotta know. I feel like if you're gonna go 11 wins, you might as well just go 12 wins, right? You're right. Eternal optimism upsets some people. The vibes are just immaculate, and people are going to be surprised even throughout the trials of this season because it's not going to go perfect. Very few of us are expecting a perfect season, right? The vibes are still going to be great. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be very different than Bronco Land. Let's see here. Yes. All right, here we go. Put a ring on it podcast. Let's see by DJ. Tech. I can't read the rest of your logo, man. But thanks for chiming in here with your record prediction. Let me know who you're a fan of. And who are our 3 wins against, man? Um, man, I got to imagine one is Colorado State, Arizona. Let me know the third. But man, that would suck to get so close to hitting the over. We'll just have to see. Let's see. Yeah. My man, Prime Sports Media. Man, again, I loved having you on my show a few weeks ago. I'm sorry about, I think I was having some computer issues and Wi-Fi issues around then, and I think I might have fixed it like the next day or so after we connected. But if y'all don't follow Prime Sports Media, I love it. He does these really long form videos, man, where he provides amazing cut ups, where he and yeah, he's just really good at this. Like he was made for this kind of stuff. So I love the attention to detail that you have, and how in depth you can get with your commentary on some of the trending news with the team, or the controversy in the media with the team, or whatever's going on, man. I really appreciate you. I do need to catch up on some of your videos, but you know how it is as a content creator. Once you're really in the mode of content creating, you have less time to watch content, right? But always a big fan of what you do, and we'll have to connect again very soon. So looking forward to that. Really appreciate you. May that what you gave me that $4, may that return tenfold for you. I appreciate it. Aloha Buffs. I see the Buffs going 3-1 into the UFC matchup. Folsom will be rocking, man. 3-1 would be amazing. Even 2-2, man. Like, it's gonna be a lot of fun, man. I can't wait to be at that game. It's gonna be quite the experience, and hopefully that's a night game. But I don't know if it is. The last one I went to in 2019 against USC, that was a night game. It was a bitter cold night game in like November. Like it was bitterly cold. And man, the first half was amazing, and then we blew a 17-point lead. Michael Pittman absolutely tore us up. I think Keen Slovis might have been the starter for USC. Man, it was brutal. Eva's mom, thank you for chiming in. I really appreciate all your support. And yeah, Brian Howell's like this Howard Stern of the bus. Oh man. But okay, maybe this is like just me, like maybe why it just went over my head is that like he's like not an engaging personality. Like talks very monotone, right? So usually when he's asking questions, like I said, when I listen to these press conferences, usually I'm doing something else. So I'm not paying like full on attention to it. I'm more so focusing on the answers that I feel like are given by the coaches or the players. But yeah, as I've dove into it more, it's like it's the way he says things. You're very right. The way in which he frames things that will like insinuate that Coach Prime doesn't understand what's going on, or he's not necessarily like qualified to be doing what he's doing, or yeah, and like, is that the same for Adam Munster Tiger? Because I mean, I haven't looked into detail with this with Adam. I know they do some shows together and stuff like that, right? But I mean, I like Adam Munster Tiger, unless But it was weird. It was weird to see that whole thing on Twitter happen, because it was weird to see so many Buffs fans like draw a line in the sand for like Brian. And I'm the only beat reporter that I will, or media that I will support unconditionally, unless something crazy happens. DNVR, like they're the gold standard for the Buffs coverage out here. Obviously, I'm just the supplement. I'm just the supplement. I can be a little bit. See, you go to the DNVR for like the official content, and then I'm just the dude that you go to that if you wish you were at the DNVR bar, hanging out with, talking with somebody, that's me. So that's kind of how all this thing works. But like, is Adam that way? I mean, I don't know. It was just weird. Like, I'm a Buffs fan, and you don't have to defend beat reporters. Like, they're they're grown men. They can defend themselves. What was frustrating is just to see them defending themselves and explaining themselves without actually freaking listening to what everyone was saying. That's what I was trying to get out the other day. Yeah, Renee, you bring up a great point. TCU does have a poor home environment. They want to crap on SMU as much as they can, because they play in the AAC, or they don't have fans, or yada yada yada. I guarantee you, SMU, if they're playing on a Power Five level, would have a better home environment than TCU. And maybe that's a hot take, but I mean, again, they're a bigger school. They have a bigger alumni base. Like, they just need, they're a fan base that I they got the money. They're going to be investing in it. They just need the right platform, right? And money can only get you so far. That's true, but it can get you pretty darn close sometimes. I mean, even with those seasons where the Yankees weren't winning the World Series every year, I mean, they were still making the playoffs. you know, and where there's winning, the fans will come. And yeah, yeah. But then Jesus chimes in and says TCU 65, 7 Colorado. No, man, that was TCU Georgia. I mean, we saw what a worse CU team was doing against a better TCU team last year, and it wasn't a point spread of 58 points, man. It just it wasn't. It's going to be a lot closer than that. All right, guys, I'm going for a few more minutes here. Gonna try and scroll through some of these comments. 4-8. I'll take that all day to the bank, baby. That means I hit my Nuggets championship Buffs wins parlay. Yes, 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 yes. That'll put a couple $100 in my pocket. And again, if there's anybody that can work miracles with a 4-win season, it's Coach Prime. It's Coach Prime. Aloha Buffs. Yes, DNVR is awesome. Love Jake and RK. Yeah, they're just all good vibes. I've been to the DNVR bar a few times, and it's a great place to catch any game. The environment is incredible, especially now with the Blake Street Tavern not being around. Like, it is the spot that to be at. But I do wish. I mean, I know it's off of East Colfax. I just wish it was in Lodo, because living out in Northwest Denver, like, that's a lot easier to get to. So that bar, depending on traffic, can be like 35, 40 minutes to get to. And I can get down to Lodo in 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, depending on traffic. Lower downtown, if you're not familiar with Denver. That's where, like, the Rockies are at. It's where, like, a lot of the bars and clubs are at it. The ball arena is just right over there as well. So it's really easy for me to get to Nuggets games. A lot tougher for me to get to the DNVR bar regularly. Let's see here. DNVR wouldn't be where they were, where they are now if it wasn't for Uncle Neely. Matt, great point. And the chemistry and dynamic that they have with Uncle Neely is, you can tell it's organic. You can tell, like, they like hanging out with each other. And man, like, I've just loved that so much. And I think probably, and this is just my thoughts, that probably somebody like Brian Howell might be a little bit frustrated, or kind of throwing these backhanded comments towards Coach Prime or the staff or whatever, is because I'm pretty sure that his, like, access has been restricted. Coach Prime seems to run a pretty tight ship on who has access or not. And the DNVR, man, they made that tight circle, and that's very impressive. And they need a lot of props for that. And it's because they're genuine people, and they believe in what's going on, and they cover it in a way in which nobody else is doing out here. And so it's been good to see that They've been able to, connect with Uncle Neely, connect with the coaching staff. And I don't think it was unintentional. Like, it was totally intentional that on Friday with Coach Prime, um, talking to Brian Howell the way he did, to also be sure to highlight and to point out DNVR, the work that they're doing, the standard that they've set. That was totally intentional. Let's see, Jeanette Fox. Bo Nix hasn't ran anyone show. Was at South Carolina for 2 years. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be looking forward to this Bo Nix, Shiloh Sanders reunion coming up here. Oh, Renee, you're giving me your predictions right here. Our 4 wins are against Nebraska, Colorado State, ASU, and Stanford. Maybe a 5th win somewhere. Yes, if we're talking about a 5th win, I would say both Arizona and Washington State are other wins to consider as well. Maybe that Washington State game would be a little bit easier. I forget if Arizona's at home. Arizona's at home, though, I'm pretty sure. But again, Washington State was they were hit by the transfer portal pretty hard this year, and they did finish 7-5, but a losing record in conference. Let's see here. Don't worry, Renee. He'll get his money. Yeah, exactly. In response, yeah. If CU goes 8-4, y'all better pay Prime all the money. Renee, I have been saying for since the spring game, I guess, that we need to already be scrapping this deal and writing a new one up to Coach Prime, because he ain't or no one is doing what Coach Prime has done in his first year here. When you're talking about the TV, the interest, the transfer portal, all of that, the talent, like like where we're at size wise on this team is just night and day. Where we're at athletically is just night and day, and that should win us, more than one game this year, right? So if we go and win 8 games, my prediction, I think, is obviously more on the optimistic side, but that's just who I am. And I'm not going to shy away from who I am. But yeah, I think if he has a season like that, where everybody in the media is put to shame, you got to be considering or trying to make him the highest paid coach in college football. And with the fundraising we're doing now, we can do that. And with the money in the Big 12 coming, we know we can do that. Yeah. Zeus, Brian Howell from day one was crying about Coach Prime getting rid of all those old players like they were Power 5 recruits. Yeah, there were some people here too from like the Fan, or now they're called Denver Sports or whatever, that were crying about these guys leaving too. And it's like, no, I mean, we had like 5 guys. I think we had less than 5 guys stay Power 5 outside the Pac-12. It was just the whole thing was pathetic. This is a business. And again, like, not to rehash it all, but with what's his name? Maddox Cop, what he was saying, like, could have been phrased better or whatever. But, what Brian Howell is saying about, well, these players are getting cut. No, they weren't cut. Maddox Cop left because, there wasn't a place for him on this team. He didn't quit. Regardless of what you think, I mean, sometimes you just got to read the writing on the wall and understand where you're at. You've never done that with a job before that you're like stuck in. I have. I'm going to go somewhere else where, I can, I can operate my strengths better. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, Max Cop's playing at the level that he needs to be at. It's G5. I think it's, but apparently there might have been some things that he didn't do on his end to ensure that eligibility waiver went through, but I'm not equipped to talk about that yet. That's just what I have heard from my one source. I don't have sources really, though. Maybe one day I'll get to have sources. Wanna Beast, I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Let me know how many games we're winning this year. I got us going 8-4. Coach Prime's black and gold statue will be legendary. Yeah, absolutely. And he better have a chain on. He better have shades on, all that. And he better be riding Ralphie with a cowboy hat. CU's going to pull a big upset this season. Who's it going to be? TCU, Oregon, USC, Oregon State, or Utah? This is a great question, Aloha Buffs. I think the most winnable upset out of those is TCU, even though it's week one. Again, they've had a ton of roster turnover this year. And I think CU has a better quarterback significantly. But USC would feel so good. Oregon would be fun to beat them, but there isn't like a ton of emotional investment for me in that game. There just isn't. I do care about it more after Dan Lanning's comments, but USC would mean the most. And then I think the win that I would be most impressed over would be, this might seem casual or whatever. Some might say Oregon, but University of Utah, if we can beat them in Utah at the end of the year when both teams should be, firing full cylinder, man, I would just love that. And that would really set an expectation to understand our place going into the Big 12. Because the Utah, I know their fans can be cocky or whatever, but they should be. I mean, they're back-to-back champions of this conference, and they're going to be one of the best teams instantly going into the Big 12. That's just facts. I think he was just more upset at the NCAA than anything. I mean, I just didn't read it as him throwing shade to Coach Prime or anything like that. Again, he trains with Shedeur. I think he was just saying hey, there wasn't a spot for me here. I had to go. Usually when new coaching staffs come in, right? I know they did this when Mel Tucker left, that, those newly committed recruits could have left. But Devin Cheverini, Coach Chev, did a great job of keeping everybody in-house, keeping everybody here. And man, one of my favorite coaches, and he deserves a lot more credit here than what he's recognized for, in my opinion. But yeah, that's all small news. Whatever. Again, he's 20 years old tweeting that. Maybe if he was 30 years old, he probably would have thought it out a little bit more, right? Yeah. Man, I think it's funny. You're totally right. But Bawana Beast, here we go. Why do you think a team like Arkansas used the portal hard? Changes flew under the radar versus Colorado. Is it just Coach Prime? Yeah, I think so. And because, again, the portal was it was just so drastic what we did here. And in the way in which it was communicated. I mean, I'm sure the Arkansas staff approach things similar way, which is there's a new standard here. We're bringing in these guys. If you can't compete, you're out. If you're not up to this level, you're out. But, that wasn't trending on social media. That wasn't put out by, the media teams apart, related to the coaching staff. Right. We just air it all. And I think that's also why people talk about us more than Arkansas right now, which is crazy to think about, because Arkansas is traditionally a great football program. A lot of history there. Put out a lot of NFL talent. When was the last time they won a national title, though? Are we more recent? So, anyways, y'all, I've been going for a little bit. I appreciate every single one of you. 8-4. We're going to see how this goes. Again, I'll be putting out more videos going into this weekend, but once Sunday or Monday hits, you probably won't see me until I am back home the following weekend. Going to take some time to be with my mother, my sisters, their spouses, and all that. My uncle up here in the mountains, so it'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, again, there's a lot of great things coming to this channel, some great partnerships. And as always, when I get on here, I remember that there are so many DMs that I need to follow up to. So apologies if I haven't responded to your texts or DMs yet. It's coming. I appreciate every one of you. And Nicholas Braxton, if you see this, please consider starting a YouTube channel, man. I want to see you break down stuff. I want to see your scout's eye. Y'all let Nicholas Braxton know on Twitter. He needs to get on YouTube, man. He needs to do this thing. He'd be killer at it, just like Cheryl C. Cheryl C is killing it. She's making bank already. But I appreciate y'all so much. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. And as always, go Buffs.